Okay, we're going over the 15.6 notes, properties of parallelograms. Basically, in order for us to go over these properties, you need to know what a parallelogram. A parallelogram is a quadrilateral with two sets of parallel sides. So in this picture, basically we have the left and the right side that are parallel to each other, and the top is parallel to the bottom. Notice I put only one arrow here and two arrows so you know it matches together. And then when you name it, you have to actually go around like you're connecting the dots. So you can start at any point. Let's say we start at R. So we can go R-A-T-E, or you can go R-E-T-A. If you started with E, you could go obviously E-R-A-T. What you can't do is skip, go E-A-T-R. That's not going around. So let's go with R-A-T-E. That's how you can name this, going around. Okay. We have four properties here of parallelograms. The first property is that opposite sides of a parallelogram are congruent. The left side is equal to the right, and the top is equal to the bottom. The next one is opposite angles of a parallelogram. Those are also congruent. That means equal in measure. So opposite angles, this angle all the way across, these are equal to each other. And notice they're all acute. These two are less than 90. These two are congruent, opposite of each other. That one's also, this is obtuse, larger than 90 and larger than 90. Okay, diagonals. Diagonals of a parallelogram bisect each other. So what it means to bisect each other, let's go ahead and draw a picture. So diagonals would be from corner to corner. By the way, these are not equal to each other. If you were to try to just measure it, I'm just going to show you with centimeters here. Let me move this over. So look at, if I went diagonally from here to here, this would be about 2.5 centimeters, whereas going across here, it's almost a 3. So they are not congruent. Okay? So that's the only one that's not congruent. These actually bisect each other, which means that this, well, actually, let me use this color. This segment is equal to this segment. And this segment is equal to this segment. So it splits each other in half. They're not equal, just the segment from here to here is equal to here to here, and then this segment from here to here is equal to here to there. Okay? And then the last one is consecutive angles of a parallelogram are supplementary. If you remember, and let me just put this on here, if you remember when we had two parallel lines cut by a transversal, basically we said that if they were on the same side, interior, that those would be supplementary. They add up to 180. That's the same thing if you think of a parallelogram. If I drew this diagonal here, and these are parallel to each other, right? Then these would also be 180. Just like this little shape right here would be my parallelogram. So, in this picture here, supplementary angles are consecutive angles. So, for example, these two angles right here would add up to 180 degrees. But not only those two, this set right here would be 180. The bottom set, I'll actually put this one, this set right here, that's also 180. These two, the top, the left, just as long as they're right next to each other, they add up to 180. Okay, let's go ahead and use those properties down here. So let's go ahead and take a look at the first one. These are sides. What's special about opposite sides of each other? They are actually congruent. The top is equal to the bottom, the left is equal to the right. So we can actually set up an equation, make those equal each other. So 5x plus 19 equals 7x. Okay, they equal each other. Let's get the x's on one side. I'm going to move my 5x over by subtracting it. That gets rid of this. We have 19 equals 2x. And then the last step is to divide by 2. All right, well, 2 doesn't go into 19. You can leave your answer as 19 over 2 if you want, or you can say 9.5. I'll just go ahead and leave it like this for now. And then the next thing I want to do is I want to solve for what the length is from A to D. So here's A, here's D. I'm going to go ahead and plug this x into here. So that would be 7. Let me do it here. 7 times 19 over 2. And so what we want to do is we want to go ahead and multiply across the top and across the bottom. So I'll go put this over 1. 19 times 7 is a total of, let's see, that's 3, 6, so that's 133. Hopefully that's right. And that's over 2 times 1, which is 2. So that's the length. You can write it like this. Or if you wanted to write as a decimal, you could also say 66.5. Either one is correct as an answer. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at this next one. So here we have angle B. Well, angle B is right here, and what they also gave us is the angle all the way across from it. Since these are all the way across from each other, opposite angles are congruent. So we're going to make these equal each other. So I'm going to start with 8y minus 17 equals 6y plus 5. And I'm going to move my y's on one side of the equal sign, which means I'm going to subtract the 6y. That gets me 2y minus 17 equals 5. I'm going to move my 17 by adding 17 to the other side. I have 2y equals 22. Last step, divide both sides by 2, and we get y equals 11. All right, well, it doesn't ask for y, it asks for the measurement of angle B, so we're going to plug it into this here. So I'm plugging in 6 times y, which we found was 11, plus 5. So is that 66 plus 5? That gets you 71 degrees. Okay. Notice that this is asking for a length, A to D, so there's no degree symbol. Here's an angle measure, so that does have a degree symbol. Here we have another angle measure, so we're going to find the degrees of that. Well, this time I'm given angle C and angle D. These are not equal to each other. Okay? These are consecutive. Think of it as the same side interior. So same side interior, you actually want to make them add to equal 180. Okay? So this is 10x plus x plus 15. That all equals 180. So let's add our like terms together. 11x plus 15 equals 180. Let's move the 15 to the other side by subtracting. We have 11x equals 165. And last step, divide both sides by 11. And x equals 15. And then we want to solve for a measurement of angle C. So we're going to use the 10x there and plug it into that. So 10 times x, and x is 15, so that gets us 150 degrees. All right, let's take a look at number 4. So number 4, this is diagonals. So what's special about diagonals is that the diagonals bisect each other. This segment is congruent to this segment. So since those are congruent, we can make them equal to each other. So 4x minus 6 equals x plus 9. Let's get the x's on one side by subtracting the x. We get 3x minus 6 equals 9. Next step, add 6. We get 3x equals 15, and then divide both sides by 3. We get x equals 5. All right, well, it's asking for what is the length from P all the way to R. So that's the full length from here to here. So let's plug in the 5 into this top one here. So 5 plus 9 is 14. Now keep in mind, 14 is the length of this segment. Do I have to plug in 5 into the bottom? You could, but we already know that these are congruent. So this is 14 and this is 14. That means the full length from P to R is 28, 14 plus 14. All right, next one is opposite sides again. This side and this side. Opposite sides are congruent, so we're going to make them equal each other. I'm going to pick the larger z on the left side. 3z minus 4 equals 2z plus 4. I'm going to move my z's to one side of the equal sign, so I'm subtracting my 2z, which gets me z minus 4 equals 4. And the last step is to add 4 here. So we get z equals 8. But 8's not the answer because they want us to solve for QR. Now QR is right here, so I'm going to plug it into this. Now technically you could plug into here also because they're both equal, but I'm going to plug it in here. 3 times z, z is 8, minus 4. So 3 times 8 is 24, minus 4 gets us 20. So this is side lengths here. We're back to an angle measure now. Angle measure. Let's see, what's inside here are opposite angles. Opposite angles are congruent to each other. They're equal to each other. So we're going to set the 6x equal to the 4x plus 20. Let's move the x's to one side, subtract the 4x. So we get 2x equals 20, and then the last step is to divide both sides by 2. And we get x equals 10. All right, we're not done because we're going to plug 10 into which angle? Oh no, we don't have an angle for P. Well, if we find what this angle is, though, then we can find P, because what's special about these two angles? They're same side interior or consecutive angles, so these should add up to 180. So let's plug in 10 into here to figure this one out. 6 times 10, that gets us 60 degrees. So if this is 60 degrees, let's just subtract that from 180, and that means the top angle is 120. All right, and that's it. And your homework is on my HRW.